everyone, welcome back to AFTV. This is very much one of those, if you don't laugh, you'll cry.
I think it's time to cry, if I'm honest with you.
I think it might be. Because this day, while still 7 hours to go, ain't getting any better. It feels like it's knock after knock when it comes to the pursuit of transfer targets.
And not that knock that Raul was talking about a few years ago.
Yes, precisely. The different knock. The... what was it? The knock, the pull, all that.
Yeah.
Anyway, how are you? All right?
Yeah, listen, I've done a video about an hour ago at Robbie. I went to get some wings and come back, and in that time, Dembele said no to us. So, happy days, isn't it? Here we are again.
You know, we're really putting the dead in deadline day, aren't we? I mean,
Arsenal put the dead in deadline day.
Yeah. It's I've got like my Twitter feed still here to the left of my screen just for updates, because we are going to be live for like what 20-30 minutes or so.
You should be lucky if any updates.
Yeah. Turkish, let's get through this, man. Let's do our best.
Let's
do our best, because is it big news? I guess it's some kind of news. Is that we found out about an hour ago that Ousmane Dembele was potentially offered as part of the loan deal with Aubameyang. Mm-hmm. A lot of reporters are saying that Dembele, or more so Aubameyang, can't sign for Barcelona until something's done with Dembele. It looked like he was going to go to PSG. That's now off the cards. Man United apparently aren't interested, though that's the most rumoured club. Tottenham aren't getting him, and it suddenly turns out that Arsenal might be able to. Now, I'm just going to say this now. I'm not going to. Now that I kind of know it's probably not happening, I'm not going to pretend I didn't want him. I wanted him because in my head I was thinking, okay, if that's an option out wide, then Pepe and Martinez can play more central. And I always like to look at not just how many strikers we got, just what are our options across the front three or in midfield. And I thought he definitely would have added some depth, and he's definitely got quality, but it doesn't look like that's on the cards. How are you feeling about that?
It's not surprised, really. I mean, Arsenal are not the club we once was, and I'm sure Dembele and Oba probably talk, and I don't think Oba's giving glowing reports of Arsenal Football Club right now. And regardless of who
they
talks,
are friends, aren't they, from their Dortmund days?
Yeah, I believe so. But regardless of talking or not talking, I think outside looking in, you can see that a lot of big players, a lot of experienced players haven't ended well with Arsenal Football Club. But with Oba, it's a bit different. With Oba, you got a nice guy there, someone who's built a connection with the fans, someone who, you know, we all have loved at one stage, and I think 99% of us, it's a sad end to his story at Arsenal. The difference with Oba is, you know, I need an explanation. And I think the rest of the football world are probably looking at Arsenal right now and thinking, what is actually going on there? What is actually going on at Arsenal Football Club? Because they're looking at Oba, they're looking at Ozil, they're looking at Xhaka, and they're probably thinking to themselves, this ain't the club to sign for at this moment in time. Dembele, who's had a torrid time at Barca, injury problems galore. We're a London-based side. All right, we're not a great side, but we're London-based. I thought that would probably be enough for Dembele to want to come over and give it a go.
Especially on loan.
Yeah, but it looks like Dembele's got high ambitions, and credit to the guy, because I want highly ambitious players to come Arsenal Football Club to kick us on. But when you look at Arsenal Football Club at the moment, it's hard to attract highly ambitious players because our lack of ambition is evident.
Yeah, I agree. Stefan says Arsenal 0 signings, Kroenke will play centre forward. I mean, it's got to that kind of stage of banter now where people are, listen, we're frustrated. It's a defence mechanism. It's let's try and laugh at the situation because it got so bad. And whatever happens today, it doesn't end or confirm, you know, whether we're going to be in the top four come the end of the season, which I think we all agree is the only attainable. You don't call it success, and you're right, but semi-achievement from this season.
Yeah. Because you know, when we went into this season, I look at. Even before the season, how is this season going to be defined? Yeah. All right, the cultural and personnel overhaul, that's one. Yeah. But then the League Cup, FA Cup are two others, and top four is another. Yeah. We're out of two of them. The youngsters have done well enough, but it's not fair to rely upon them for 38 games. Yep. And top four is the only attainable target left. That if you ask me, are we going to get it? I'll say no, we're not, confidently. So when you look at the season defining moments, they've all pretty much been a failure. And how else can you define a season?
Yep, agreed. It's not just Dembele who's not keen on the move. That was confirmed by Fabrizio Romano. It's now Alvaro Morata that we heard earlier in the day as well. He's not an option. I know a lot of people disagreed on whether he'd be a good option to explore anyway. But the point is, I think we're, and I don't say this proudly, nor do I even say it in kind of a funny, banterous way. Like, we are genuinely desperate because I'm seeing kind of little graphics go around social media of our squad depth, and it really hammers home that if one of Gabriel or White get injured, we have no other centre backs to call upon. It's just Rob Holding. There is nobody else behind that, especially because we're hearing Rekic's on his way to Stoke potentially. Pablo Mari's gone, Kolasinac has gone, Chambers has gone. So I kind of, what's frustrating is I want to be able to credit Arteta and Edu with the clear out. Even if the club's not making money, like I'm not bothered by that. I'm bothered about just ultimately where the squad is and what they do on the pitch. So I want to be able to say, nice, another good clear out. But you remember last January, the clear out was followed by loan deals for Matt Ryan and Odegaard. We brought in a very good backup keeper, and we brought in a number 10. And then Smith Rowe emerged, and suddenly you felt that the squad was in a better place to try and do something for the rest of the season. We've not had that other side of the coin this January.
And last season, you compare the Januaries, and you're right, we've done some business to counter the outgoings, but one piece of business came to bite us in the arse, and that was not having a backup for Kieran Tierney. I'm not saying we should have kept Kolasinac, but when you're in a Europa League semi-final, when you're entertaining Xhaka as left back, those are those are season defining. You fail to do adequate business when you can, which is January in the summer. Then somewhere along the line, something's going to happen that raises the questions of, why didn't you do this? And it's happening again right now. Come May, we're going to be asking, why didn't you do the business in January? We should really be looking at the history of this club and saying it now, not wait until May, because it's James. Are we going to make top? If you had to put money down, your money down, would you put it on Arsenal making top 4, regardless of what business we do today?
No, I wouldn't, because I've seen this all before. But I also don't think I think it's far from over. Like, I still think we've got as good a chance as United and Spurs, like currently as of today. But my fear is that United will only get better because of the players they've got, and Spurs will only get better because of the manager they've got. Whereas I think we've really hit our ceiling, which is competitive against City but lost. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Competitive at Anfield but didn't get through the tie. That's where I fear. I think Arsenal have shown. Burnley, I think, was a bit of an anomaly because we usually beat the sides we should beat. And this season in particular, we've been quite good at that. You think of the Brighton draw, the Palace draw, sure, but more often than not, we've kind of done the job in those games we should. I can just see Spurs and United, because of the quality they've got in management and on the pitch, being able to actually claim some pretty important points throughout the season against. I mean, look at Spurs in the last couple of minutes against Leicester. I know Leicester aren't having that same season, but us in that position, play that game 200, 300, 400 times, we are not doing what Spurs did. That's what I mean, because Harry Kane plays a wonderful through ball, because Bergwijn is a £23 million option from the bench. This is kind of what I mean. That's why I don't think ultimately we'll get over the line with top 4. And that's why this January for me was crucial, just to add some quality. It didn't even have to necessarily be genuine upgrades, but it had to be someone who I felt was at least as good as Lacazette. You know what I mean? So if Lacazette's not on it, you can mix it up a bit. Options, depth, keeping people on their toes. I think Lacazette's worrying about his position when he's got to. And by the way, Alex Lacazette gives his all in every game. But there's a different kind of motivation when there's someone you're like, I need to play because otherwise I'm getting dropped for this guy. And when you know that your future is committed to the club, he can today sign with any club he wants and say, I'm off in the summer. I'll take my cash till then, and I know that's not his attitude, but it's just an environment you create.
Arsenal have put themselves in this position and put players in this position.
I think so. Let's go into some of the other news from the day very quickly. Raul de Tomas was another player we were linked to. I think it's more of a backup. I think this one screams of Arsenal arrogance, in that I think they thought, we'll go for Isak. Same club, isn't it? They're the same club.
Well, I think so.
Sociedad, yeah. So he's got a release clause, as does Isak, but again, his is for like 62 million quid or something. I think they thought, well, he's the one we'll probably do on the cheap. if we can't get Isak. And Sociedad are probably sitting there thinking, we saw what you did to Atletico with the release clause.
Yeah.
So they're probably on edge thinking at any point they could just drop the bag for Isak if they really want to. I don't think Arsenal would do that if they weren't confident Alexander Isak wanted to come.
Yeah.
But then I'd add to that apparently, I can't remember what reporter said it, essentially we called them to be like, what's the availability, and they just said no, they didn't pick up the phone, they're not answering. So that's another option that we've waited all the way to deadline to find out that it's a complete non-starter. And what worries me is how quickly these links are coming and going. That suggests that Arsenal are flapping. They're just going, oh, what can we do?
And Arteta and not so much Edu, but Arteta has this month indicated that we need to sign players.
Yeah.
Maybe he hasn't said it straight like that, but
he's been very clear.
Yeah, he's clear. And
we are short.
He's also said things like, Arsenal are still a great club and we can still buy any player we want. But I'm hearing a lot of rumours and nonsense about players, agents, clubs not taking our calls.
Yeah.
It's the roundabout in full effect. We talked about it last night. I talked about it Robbie an hour ago. We're going to talk about it now. We'll probably talk about it in a couple hours. At the end of the day, with how long left? 7 hours left of the window, 8 hours left of the window. Realistically, if anything's going to happen, let's say in the next 3 hours, something has to emerge that Arsenal are on the verge. Otherwise, it's not going to happen before the dead.
Yeah. It really, I think, I mean, that you're right. There's 7 hours to go, but I'm with you. It almost has to be in 3 to 4 hours, something has to happen.
Yeah, it has to. What, medicals and all of that need to.
Yeah, I think. So with Alexander Isak, I was reading today a report that transfer when there's a release clause, it's incredibly easy to do. You go to La Liga HQ. That's why Partey we were able to do so quickly.
Yeah.
You send the money, even if they've not got the money. It's like, okay, cool. They're paying it. They've got it. That player is officially bought out their contract. The player agrees the terms. They sign some declaration of transfer, which is basically like, we intend to complete this transfer, blah, blah. And then even if it goes into the next day, it doesn't really matter.
It's sorted,
so there is still time for Arsenal to do that. In fact, there's still loads of time for Arsenal to do that. My opinion, I don't know anything. It's an opinion. It's just a thought. It's a theory. I think Arsenal are flapping for cheaper options and will consider the panic button. I do think they'll get to 3-4 hours from now, looking at the Moratas, the Raul de Thomases, the Dembeles and all that, and then they'll have this conversation and go,
someone's better than no one.
Yeah, shall we just do it? And then I use the analogy, you ever been out in Shoreditch or somewhere in London and your Uber's quoting you 50 quid at 3 a.m. and you're thinking, I've just got to get home.
Yeah.
There's no way I want to spend 50 quid on Uber, but I have to. Brennan knows what that's like. And you're like, I just have to get home.
Yeah.
And I think it's like that for Arsenal. I think they might get to the point where we know we're severely overpaying, but we've got to pray that he... firstly, we've got to do something. B, we've got to pray that he gets that value or even beyond. We've got to hope that in 3-4 years' time, he's a £150 million player, and that you're talking about him as kind of that bracket below your Mbappes and Haalands.
We're in danger of, we've done this before, but we're in danger, if that's what we're doing again, I wouldn't be surprised if we have another, what was his name, Satin Perez?
Lucas Perez,
yeah. It's a similar feeling to that, where we all know we need a top striker, and this club brings in Lucas Perez for 17, 19 mil, something like that. And what happened then? Yeah. This deadline day madness with Arteta, Per Mertesacker, Andre Santos, etc. What happened then? Yeah. None of the panic buys, none of the deadline day madness that Arsenal have.
Oh, sorry. Aaron says De Thomas plays for Espanyol. You're absolutely right.
Oh yeah.
Thank you, Aaron. See, I'm barely researched. I'm not going to hold my hands up. I'm barely researched on the guy. Krishna says, thoughts on Mehdi Taremi? James Benge just reported. Yeah, I think he's the guy. Plays for Porto up front. Scored a good goal against Chelsea in the Champions League.
What's his name?
I don't know. Taremi?
I don't know what's going on.
Let's have a little look. I'll keep refreshing. Just very quickly, let's go through some other news. This isn't to say that the deal's not happening anymore, but loads of reporters saying that Arsenal and Barcelona are both surprised that Aubameyang is in Barcelona at the moment. Apparently he wasn't flown out there by either club to complete the deal. Some reports are saying he goes down holiday a lot. Others are saying he's there just in case.
Yeah.
Some people obviously having a lot of fun with the Odemwingie thing from 7-8 years ago.
Yeah.
My initial reaction was, what are you doing? But then maybe he's just being smart. If this goes ahead, I'm in the city and I'm ready. If not, I've got myself a little holiday in Barcelona. I mean, it's not...
Yeah, potentially. Potentially. Even the other situation, man. Going into this season, who would have thought that halfway through the striker that we're going to be letting go of would have been Aubameyang?
It's mad, isn't it?
It's mad. We went into the season with 3 strikers, 1 who just signed a new contract and 2 who are gone into their last year. And now we're going to end the season potentially with no strikers.
Yeah.
By end, I mean come May, when Eddie Nketiah and Lacazette are out of contract. Oba potentially returns, but he'll be on his way out again.
You know where Arsenal need to be careful? If the aspirations are to get back into Europe, then there are a lot of additions needed come the summer. Because really, if you're going to compete, especially this current Arsenal side, that we're not in a position where we just want to kind of sack off the Carabao or the FA Cup and focus on the league and Champions League, whatever. This current Arsenal side would need almost a second 11 that is capable of coming in, which is why, don't get me wrong, I don't mind Chambers going, but we sold him for very little. Apparently there was an option for us to extend. We could have triggered an extension at any point on his deal, and we could have maybe got another year of him as a backup to Tomiyasu. And I don't know how you feel, as a backup he was always fine. He was okay.
I'd rather Chambers than Holding, if I'm honest.
Sure.
Doesn't mean I'd
probably rather Chambers than Cedric, knowing the role our right backs play in the system.
Enough.
So that was kind of a weird one. We might have a lot of business. Maitland-Niles might be needed next year. We're going to need 2 or 3 strikers.
This is why I've been so adamant over the last couple of years to sort out these players that are, contracts coming out. Eddie Nketiah, Wolves, West Ham, Brighton, Palace. These clubs have wanted him over the last 18 months, and we've been the club to say no. Maitland-Niles, Wolves wanted him. Who else wanted him? I'm sure someone wanted him at the start of this summer as well. But again,
did you say Palace?
No, well, there you go, Palace. Again, another player there where we should have sold, but here we are potentially losing him on a free or whatever we're going to get. Who else? Eddie and Laka. I'm just a football fan, James. I'm just an Arsenal fan, Arsenal supporter. I just love the club. But why can I see in 2020, and big up Jashar, big supporter of AFTV, big supporter of my channel as well. I see what you said earlier. Big up Jashar. He can quote me on this. I said in 2020, Eddie and Laka, we need to be thinking ahead now. These men ain't gonna cut it. Let's start thinking ahead now when they've got 18 months left and they've got 2 years left on their contract. Arsenal didn't. But then you'll have other fans getting on to me because I didn't like the quality and the level of players we brought in the summer. But if you did like the quality and level, and over the season, even if you didn't like, I found that a few of those names have performed quite well. I'm happy with them. But they didn't do what they should have done. They haven't done what they should have done. They've been beating around the bush for years. And this summer just gone, it was beating around the bush again. The ruthless things that they needed to do, they didn't do. And that was getting rid of the nice guys, the one... Joe Willock is a prime example, yeah? Oh my God, Joe Willock, yeah? For years I've been saying, it's time to move on from the guy. He's a young player, he's got some potential, but let's move on from him now. Even down to when he done that at Newcastle, I was like, now's the time to sell him. But you'll get fans saying, but look what he just done. We need that here. Don't kid yourselves. Don't kid yourselves that 6 months of decent football is going to change the fortune of a lot of these players. Maitland-Niles, Eddie Nketiah, Joe Willock. These sort of players over the years, yes, they're youngsters coming through the academy, but we should have made profit on them. We should have made profit. Joe Willock, 25 million, well done Arsenal Football Club. Ainsley Maitland-Niles, Eddie Nketiah, nothing. So it kind of counters the good business you have done, the good incomings you have brought in. When you needed to kind of take that extra step, you didn't take that extra step. And here we are. Eddie rejecting contracts. We tried to offer a contract to Mustafi last year. Do you remember that? What's going on? So as much as there's been good business at the club, there's been business that's just blowing my mind. Why are you offering Mustafi and Eddie and Nketiah and these man new Holding? Why are these man getting new contracts?
Can't disagree with any of that, to be honest. Super chat from Chris says, clear out to what end? Pull off another summer window? Hope that team can make top 4. If not, buy youngsters. I think it's goodbye youngsters and forget signing top talent. #madness. Evan Ryan says Everton have a better manager than us. Burnley signing a striker. We are pathetic. This is all on the owners. We are going nowhere. What else have we got? Josh says, what are the chances Arsenal make a signing? Josh, I wouldn't rule it out, but it's looking worse with every kind of hour that goes by. Jimmy Jam says, Kroenke's preparing for the Super Bowl. He has no interest in deadline day. Yeah, probably true. John says, Arteta's a bad manager. Management and leadership are separate. We are suffering as Arsenal fans. Yeah, he's not happy. Let me ask you a quick question. Before we do, we'll just fly through some other quick news. So obviously we talked about Rekik potentially going to Stoke. That's another backup centre back. We were thinking maybe done one in the academy, could step up. But he's going to go get some, I think, good first team experience. To be fair, it's just frustrating that we don't have the depth. What other news was there we were discussing? I'm just having a little quick look now. What I sent through to my colleague. Not so much. We talked about Dembele. We talked about Raul Thomas, Morata, Rekik. That's and pretty much it.
Edu doing cheese and wine on his Insta story or whatever he was doing.
Yeah, that was the bit that got me.
Is he taking the piss? Are these men taking... No, it's not. Forget asking. They are taking the piss.
Yeah.
They are taking the piss. So they might as well just end this transfer deadline day, no signings, and fully take the piss out of us. Because you've been doing it for years, beating around the bush. Just go wholehearted now and fucking take the piss.
People are saying this is more on Edu than Arteta. That's from Tom Jones. Okay, let me ask you this, because I know where you stand on the ownership. I think everyone knows where you stand on the ownership, and rightly so. But my question is, for this window alone, and I know we can talk about the staff they've hired or whatever, but for this window alone, could you understand why Stan and Josh Kroenke, if Arteta rocks up to them and goes, hey, could I have 70 million for a striker, please? And they go, okay, well, what happened to the guy we put on 350 a week? Oh, we fell out. You know? Oh, what about? And that was actually, I wish I could take credit for this point. It was Tim Stillman who put a great thread on Twitter. And they're saying, what about the other two strikers? Oh, well, their contracts are expiring, they're leaving. And, can you see why there might be a frustration at kind of the allocation of resources a little bit, at the way certain things are being managed? We talk about lack of depth at centre-back. Saliba, is off doing brilliantly, and maybe that's a great thing that he's off and his loan spell's gone so well. But you look at depth in key areas, and there are players on loan that will do a job, and the question's always around the kind of management of these players. Can you understand why maybe the Kroenkes are reluctant in this window to just spend another 50, 60, 70 mil?
No.
Fair enough.
No, reason being, I just think that, listen, even if it is a reluctance off the back of previous business that they thought would have ironed out issues in that position, let's say, football's a changing world, it's a changing environment. You've got to be on the ball. Even if you win a league title, you can't rest on your laurels. You've got to go into the transfer window. You've got to try and improve, whether that's through depth, whether that's through youngsters. Look at Man City today. They bought one for the future. It looks like Pep's building for when he's gone. But that's what great teams do. That's what good teams do. That's what good businesses do. You got to think forward as well as thinking for now. We don't do neither. We're not thinking forward in terms of Saka coming to 2 years in his contract come summer and the ball being in his court in terms of power and the next move. We don't see Martinelli, Emile Smith-Rowe and all these lot in the next 2 years, what they will want. The club are not protecting their assets. And people can talk to me about moaning and negative and all of this, but I guarantee you, if you ask Saka, if you ask Emile Smith-Rowe, and you ask Martinelli about this transfer window, honestly, no cameras, no audio recording equipment, no nothing. Do you think these men are going to be happy? They're not going to be happy. Yeah, and our aim should be keeping these ones happy at the very least, whilst doing good business, a good business that helps them, good business that helps Arsenal Football Club, and good business that in turn makes the owners more money. That's my thing with them. Everyone wants to talk about they only care about money. Well, success brings money. We're a loss-making company now. 3 years going on 4 years. So in all honesty, even if they look at Arteta and Edu and say, well, we've trusted you with this and that in the past 2 years. Listen, I'm looking at Kroenke because they've trusted Arteta and Edu. I didn't trust Arteta and Edu. You didn't trust us. We've been asked to trust another project, another process. We're being asked to do that. Whether you listen to that question and say, I'll trust it, or whether you listen to them and say, go fuck yourself, yeah? I'm looking at them. Because if Arteta and Edu, and I say if, when Arteta and Edu fall flat on their face with this project, do I look at them and get onto them as much as I do Kroenke? No. Because Kroenke is the man who, after 10, 15 years of majority ownership, decided that a young manager with a young director of football, with an inexperienced CEO and a board member in Lord Harris of Peckham that does more for the Conservative government in this country than Arsenal Football Club, if he thinks these are the right men to bring Arsenal forward, then it's on him.
Yeah.
Listen, if this club brought in Conte in the summer, a lot of this mood would be very different because it's a manager that has substance. Now people will say to me, are you Arteta out? And if I say, yeah, I'm Arteta out, they'll ask me, what manager do you want in? Now there's no manager in world football that I can identify and say, if you bring in that man who's available, I'll trust him.
Yeah, well, Devon asks, actually, if Conte was in charge, do you think these guys are saying no to Arsenal? Personally, I think he was the biggest miss of the year. I think, well, you look at Traore and... who was it? Traore and Diaz turning down Spurs for moves to Barcelona and Liverpool respectively. But the one thing I'd say is that's a reflection for me on Spurs and not on Conte and kind of the business maybe they're trying to do. And now Paratici's gone to his kind of former employers and said, help me out here.
Tottenham have lost players to Barcelona and Liverpool. Yeah. We lost Bruno Guimaraes to New fucking Castle. Yeah. So even Tottenham,
Didn't even think of it
who
that
haven't won shit in how long, yeah, I can't compare myself to that. Sure. Because like Louis Gustavo rejected us for Wolfsburg years ago. People forget about that, but this Bruno Guimaraes in Newcastle reminds me of that. It's nothing new that I've seen with Bruno. It's something that, it's the same shit, different season.
Yeah, he was a good player, Luis Gustavo. All right, guys, we're going to wrap it up there. That was a quick update just to kind of run through what we briefly discussed. Dembele off the cards, that's not happening. He probably will leave Barcelona, or he's looking likely he will, but it's not going to be to Arsenal. I think he could have done a job.
And I've got big six tonight. I'm going to talk to Tottenham fan, Man United fan, City fan, Liverpool fan, Chelsea fan.
I'll be honest though, I don't
what do I say?
Yeah, but I don't think a lot of them are too happy with what they've done this window. I think Liverpool fans will be the happiest.
You Tottenham fans are buzzing with Conte. They might not be they might not be happy with the window, but they're buzzing with Conte. United, all right, it hasn't gone well for them so far, but hey, they're in top 4 and they're upset. They're upset and they're in top 4. When we was in top 4, it was, trust the process. It's mad. Yep.
Raul de Tomas also ruled out. That's not going to happen. Morata is staying at Juventus, so he is an Atletico Madrid player, so that could have been a nightmare to negotiate, even if we were trying to get him in. Omar Rakik could be going to Stoke on loan. I think that'd be a good move for him. They're Championship, aren't they?
Stoke.
I think so. I think they're in the Championship. I think that's a really good move for them. For him to them. Incomings remain unlikely, but there's always still time, and Aubameyang is in Barcelona, likely to have a medical. So, guys, those are kind of the headlines. They're not the kind of headlines we want to bring, just because there's not a lot of news there. But I think Arsenal are scrambling, and I think when someone scrambles, it means it could go as bad as it could go as good. If that what I mean is, we could just as easily end up with someone if we're just kind of picking up calls here and phoning and just throwing stuff there and hoping something happens.
Yeah, there's no light right now, though, is there, for us to? No,
there's nothing to
latch onto and say something's coming.
We
all say something must be happening because of the amount of departures. You mentioned Arsenal. I don't know how many times I can tell people out there, unfollow Arsenal on social media, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, Reddit, whatever social media Arsenal have, just unfollow them. Just send, even if you're going to send a message in just that small manner where you just click a button and these men have tweeted 5 times in the last 6 hours on deadline day talking about loan watch with Balogun, talking about, what did they say about Manuel? Welcome Manuel Almunia.
Good to see you.
It's not good to see Manuel Almunia. It's never good to see Manuel Almunia. But the person who's in charge of Arsenal's Twitter account probably doesn't know what happened in that Champions League final. Probably doesn't know the career that Almunia had at Arsenal Football Club. But hey, on Twitter, it's nice to see you, Manuel. Loan watch Balogun. What? Is this club mad?
This is why I think they're either supremely tone deaf or they're trolling us because something's coming, and it's one or the other. And it's
but even
pretty
if they're
two
trolling
extremes.
us, when they done this Oba contract, James, they put a timer in the bio. Do you remember that nonsense? Yeah, a timer in the bio. Oba done it as well. We was waiting for it. The fans were like, "Oh, there's a timer. It's coming." Chris Wheatley probably tweeted something. Fabrizio Romano probably tweeted something. Retweets galore, and it comes out Oba signed a new contract. Why are you messing with the fans? Why are you messing about with the fans after we just finished 8th? I don't care if we just won the FA. We just finished 8th, and you man are doing timer in bios. Today on deadline day, you're doing welcome Manuel. It's nice to see you. They know what they're doing, and on top of that, they're messing with us as well. And the gullible on Twitter will lap it up, and they'll just run with it because that's all they know. Twitter in the bin. In the nose, journalists in the bin. If this window hasn't shown people that no one knows what the hell is going on, look at the Chambers move, for example. Out of nowhere, not one person mentioned that. Out of nowhere, he's gone. If this window don't show people to unfollow all of these Twitter in the nose, all of these journalists and all of that, then don't talk to me because I'm done. Because I can't talk to a brick wall. I just can't. And people like that, you might as well be a brick wall because you're not learning your lessons. I've been learning my lesson over the years. It's painful, yes, but I'd rather be in pain knowing the reality of my football club than be in dream world, being manipulated by my football club. At the end of the day, when I take myself out of the football atmosphere, Arsenal Football Club, I've got a great life and I focus on that great life. Arsenal are not part of that great life. They haven't been for a long, long time. So I can talk here negative, emotional, real, whatever people want to label it. But just know, outside of Arsenal, everything's great. I just want Arsenal to be great too. This is the one area of my life that is poor, is letting me down. I've got a son that's just turned 1. You think I don't want to see him in an Arsenal kit? You think I don't want to bring him to a game in a couple of years? I bought my season ticket this year. I've left it empty for the majority of the season, bar one game. Next year, I'll probably drop it out completely. I probably won't renew. Is my son ever going to get to see Arsenal Football Club like I did when I was young? Let's hope they start changing their ways. Because until they do, I'm not doing it. I'm not bringing my son into a business that just manipulates its customers, and that's what we are. My son would just be a customer, an Arsenal Football Company customer, like we are. But we grew from an Arsenal Football Club fan, and now we're Arsenal Football Company customers. Every new Arsenal fan that's come in the last 10 years, you haven't supported Arsenal Football Club, you've been supporting Arsenal Football Company. Nothing against you, it's the harsh reality of what we've been supporting for at least 10 years. It's a company, not a club.
Well, my iPad's died.
I wish my phone would die as well right now.
I'm actually serious, it's died. So
you're going to miss out on all the breaking news. Get a charger, because I know there's news flying in right now, left, right and centre. Someone on Twitter has tweeted, get charger please. We're missing out on latest news, because 30 seconds is a long time in the Arsenal world.
Spend all the money in the
Oh my god, right. Let's get out of here. Guys, smash a like on this video if you enjoyed. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. More updates, should we call them that?
Down dates.
More to talk about later. But look, it's incredibly frustrating. And I'm very much saving myself to 11 o'clock. And then we got a lot to discuss, because I'm so with you on that whole champagne fucking post, and I'm so with you on the whole the tweets and the tone, and it's just like, if there's one thing you can control, and I get it, sometimes you can't control signing, sometimes you can't, sometimes there's stuff you just can't do, no matter how much you will it and you want to, sometimes you can't do, but you can at least understand your fans and your audience and respect them. So I get what you're saying. Let's see where we are by 11. Yeah, that's that, guys. We'll see you.
I really hope you didn't miss anything big in the last 45 seconds. We need to get that charger.